Hello everyone, today we will continue our journey to learn programming without coding technology. In this lesson, we will learn about using the components that enable us to use lists, and using these components we can create new lists and modify them. Also, we can search for items and we can do many useful things. So let us start by using the new empty list component, and we will create a list called a list1 like this. And using the new list by range component, we will create another list. We will call it a list2, and this list will contain some numbers from 1 to 10 instead of using the range operator. Also, we have another component to create a new list. It's called new list by size, and we will set the name to be a list3 and the size will be 10. So if we tried now to print the contents of these lists, we will discover that printing a list1 as expression will print nothing because this list is empty and does not have any items. While printing a list2, we can see the numbers from 1 to 10, but if we printed a list3, we will see 10 items, but each item is just 0, as we can see here. So this is the difference between these components, and we can select any one of them based on our need. Now, we will use another component which is called add item to add some items to the a list1 component. So let us try to add 3 items like 1, 2, and 3. After adding these items, we can print a list1 and see the contents. We see here 1, 2, 3. So if we try to get the size of a list, we can do this using getListSize component, and we can now get the size of a list1 and store it in a variable called inSize. And we can print the value of this variable using the print component like this, and we print it as expression. When we run this, we will get 3 because we know that a list1 contains 3 items, 1, 2, 3. If we try to do the same but with a list2, we will get 10 when we try to print in size, as we can see now. Also, if we try to do this with a list3, we will get 10 too, as we can see, because both of a list2 and a list3 contains 10 items. So this is good. Now we learned about some of the list components. We learned how to create different lists, how to add some items, and how to get the size of a list. Now let us create another example, and we will just use the assignment component to define a list that contains some items, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like this. Or we can just create a list that contains the number from 1 to 5, and let us print this list. Now what I would like to do is to try to delete some items. So I will use the delete item component, and I will delete the item using the item index. So the first item is item number 1 at index 1 and so on. I would like to delete the third item, which is at index 3, like this. After deleting this, when I print the list, I will see 1, 2, then I will see 4 and 5. So let us try this and see the result. As we expected, we have 1, 2, while the 3 number is deleted, and we have just 4 and 5. We can get an item from the list. So If I try to get the third item, it will be now number 4. I will store it in a variable called my item like this, and I will print this item as expression, so I will print 4 again, which is good as we expected. Now remember that we don't need to use the get item component to get an item. We can just use the print component and type the list name like this, and then we type the item index like that. So when we run, we printed this as a literal, so we will switch to expression and run, and we get the same result as we have when using get item component. So we have learned about some of the components to deal with the items. I would like now to try the setlist item component, and I would like to change number 5 to be like, or number 1 to be a string. So I will modify a list and item at index 1, and I will set it as a string like this. This way, when we print our list, instead of seeing 1, 2, 4, 5 as numbers, we will see number 1 as a string. As we have here, we have number 1 as a string, then we have 2, 4, 5. Now, another component to learn about is reverse list, which can get a new list that have the items from bottom to up instead of top to down. So from bottom to top instead of top to down. So let us try this component. I will pass a list as input. Also, I will store the output in the same list. But now when I print the list, I expect that number 5 will come first, then 4, then 2, then 1. Let us try and see. As it, this is what we expected. Okay. Now, a component called insert item. Using it, we can add new items. I will use it to add number 3 again. So, using a list, and after the second item, I will insert number 3. So we have to have this here, then we print the list. Now run. Look at this. We have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we stored number 3. Remember that when we use insert, we select the item, the index, that our new item will be inserted after it. So if I would like to insert something here, maybe I need to add the index, to set the index as 0. So let us try this. Use insert item, and after the index 0, I will add a string called start. Then I will print the list again. Now run. As we expected, we have a start, then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is good. Now, if I would like to swap two items, I can do this using the item index. So let us swap 5 and 1. 5 exists at item index number 2, while 1 exists at item number 6. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is good. Okay. Use the swap now, and I will type the list name, and I will swap between item 2 and item 6. After the swap operation, I will print our list to see the result, and now run. Look at this. We have start, and after start, instead of having 5, we get 1. Then we have other items like 4, 3, 2, and we get 5 in the end. This is good, and we learned now more about these components. Now let us learn about something else, how to find an item inside our list. So let us define a list. This list will contain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. And we can add some items like start, and here we add another item like end. Print this list to see the contents first. Then after that, I would like to do some search operation to find an item. So I will use the find item component. I would like to search an A list. I would like to find item using the value. So I would like to search for 3. I will type 3 as a string. I expect this to return 4 because we have start as number 1 item at index 1. Then we have 1, 2, 3. So 3 exists at index 4. So we store this in a variable called inIndex. Then we print inIndex and see what will happen. Yes, we get number 4. This is right. Now look at this. We learned how to use find item. This component uses linear search. Linear search means this algorithm will start from the first item and check the value. If it is the value, it will return it. If not, it will move to the next item and so on, one by one, until we check all of the values or until we find our value. There is another way of search called binary search. This way requires sorting the list first and it is faster. So at first, let's try to sort the list, which is necessary if we would like to use binary search. So I will sort a list and I will get the output in the same list, which is a list. Now print this a list and see the contents. We have end 5, 4, 1, start 3, 2. It's like based on the letters alphabetic order. So after this sort, I would like to find an item using binary search. So I would like to find where we have the item number 1. It exists at the index number 4. We have end 5, 4, then 1. So let us see the result now, and we store this in inIndex, and then we print inIndex and see. So we get number 4. If we change this to 2 like this, I expect to get the value like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let us run this and we get 7. So this is good. We learned a lot about these components. We learned all of the components except just one component that convert a list to a string. So let us try this. Let us use this component. I will convert this list to a string that's called CSTR, or we can call it like myString, just a quick name. It is not the perfect way to determine a variable name, but just for our test. So now let us print this myString, and we print it as expression, and we get the same result. It's just a string this time, but as you know, this string contains all of the items just as a stream or just as a group of letters merged together instead of just each word in one item. So if I would like to print some characters in this string, I can use print component and I can use myString, and let us start by printing the character at index 1 like this, and we get the letter E because it is the first letter here. If we try to print some character like at position 10, and remember that we have new lines between the items, so let us see what we have here. We have the letter F and so on. We can just process this string. So to be sure about this, let us use a for loop, and we will start from 1 to len myString, which is the length of the string. Here we are using the len function that can be used with lists and strings to get the string size. Also, we have specific components to get the size of a list or the size of a string. Now, inside this loop, I will print the character using the variable t as expression, and every letter will be printed in a new line like this. And now I get a lot of output. I get, like, as you can see, I printed two characters here. Then using the loop I printed end, which is like the first item, and then we have new line, then we print the letter of 5 and the letter of 4, and so on. We can see this here, as you can see in the debug window. So this is enough for now. We learned many components to deal or use lists, and I hope that you enjoyed this lesson. Thank you very much, and see you in our next lesson.